Hello everyone and welcome back to the World Class Stamp. Today we're going to be talking about one season wonders and notable contributions over a season. You're here for some world class verdicts over world and domestic football. So today I'm going to go first with my pick, and we're going to start off in goal as usual. Formation wise, I've gone for a 4-5-1. But in goal, starting off, we're going to go for Wojciech Szczesny. 13-14 season, he got the Golden Glove joint with Petr Cech. 16 clean sheets, probably his best Arsenal outing. And Arsenal had quite over the period where they was paying back the Emirates loan. I don't think they had a consistent goalkeeper after Jens Lehmann left the club. That position seemed to be a bit of a trouble position. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. But Wojciech Szczesny come in and he looked to be the answer to Arsenal's goalkeeping problems, especially that season. And they had Fabianski as backup goalkeeper. But yeah, none of them really grabbed the position by a scruff of the neck. But this was his standout season for Arsenal, and that particular season goes down as my one season wonder for the goalkeeper. Coming in then at left back, I've gone for Danny Simpson for Leicester City, 2016 Premier League winning season. Absolutely stalwart in defence. Played some outstanding football for Leicester and was a real kind of unsung hero of that campaign. Kind of slipped off the radar after that season. Not sure where Danny Simpson is playing now, but yeah, he's obviously not. I think he just checking it now. Yeah, I can't see where he's playing for at the minute, but thinking maybe Huddersfield Town. Yeah, so Danny Simpson goes in at left back. Alongside him, I'm going to put his Leicester teammate Wes Morgan. Absolutely outstanding in the centre of defence during the title-winning campaign alongside Robert Huth. But yeah, won everything in a year, was an absolute leader, captained the side to Premier League victory. I think this was his standout season. Yeah, kind of obviously the season before the whole squad was fighting relegation, so you could potentially put the whole Leicester side from 2016 into this team. And I wouldn't be surprised if you guys had a few more Leicester players in your team as well. But Wes Morgan goes into the back. And then alongside him then, obviously you could have had Robert Huth, but I've gone for Laurent Blanc. So come into Man United, he had 2 seasons there. The most notable one was the 02-03 season where they won the Premier League title. Came in, had the absolute mammoth job of replacing Jaap Stam after he went to Lazio. Was seen to be a bit of a bizarre signing by Alex Ferguson at the time. Wondered, I think he was in his late 30s, didn't really have the pace of the Premier League, got caught out a few times when he kind of moved over. But yeah, he contributed towards winning the Premier League title and what was Alex Ferguson's last Premier League trophy in 2013. And then moving over then to right back, I've gone for another Man United player, Rafael da Silva. Won the league with Man United in sorry, I've got that wrong actually. Laurent Blanc 02-03 season, they won it. Wasn't Alex Ferguson's last trophy. The next guy was the last season. So Rafael da Silva, 2012-13, won the league, 28 appearances at right back. His best season for Manchester United. His most appearances of the campaign. Looked to be kicking on at right back, but after Sir Alex Ferguson left, he kind of got lost in the shuffle then, with the kind of uncertainty with the managerial situation. So that's my back four and goalkeeper. Moving on to the midfield then, so I've got 5 in midfield. And in the holding midfield position, I've gone for Gary Medel for Cardiff City. Joined Cardiff from the Spanish League. Played, I think it was 30 games in the Premier League. Come over with a reputation of getting red cards. I think he had 7 in La Liga the previous year. played well for Cardiff. Unfortunately, couldn't stop them from going down. They kind of pressed the self-destruct button, sacking their manager Malky Mackay and bringing in Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. Lots of kind of issues there with kind of the league, but he had an absolute stormer against Manchester City when they beat 3-2 at home, and they would then eventually go on to win the Premier League that season. So really good holding midfield player, and then he went on to bigger and better things. Then with Inter, had to move to Inter Milan, and I think he won the Copa America with Chile as well. So that's my holding midfielder. Alongside him, another Leicester City player, Danny Drinkwater. Probably had the season of his life, and nobody knew how terrible he was because N'Golo Kante was doing all his work for him because he got about 7 lungs or something. So made Danny Drinkwater look world class. Similar to what I was saying about centre backs, where you get players to elevate them alongside you. So you have players like Rio Ferdinand or Virgil van Dijk elevates the centre back, whoever they're playing alongside. N'Golo Kante does that, and he made Danny Drinkwater look so good. He had a move to Chelsea. I think he was on bumper wages and never to be seen again. Sent to the Shadow Realm. So Danny Drinkwater, he gets in the side. So that's my midfield 3, and the wingers then. So you could say it's a 5 or a 3 up front. So on the one wing, I've got David Bentley of Blackburn Rovers in the 07-08 season. So I think on the back of this, he got a move to Spurs. Was touted as the new Beckham. Probably bought into the hype too much. Again, he got his move to Tottenham, sent to the Shadow Realm. What could have been
a 50-yarder against Man United, and he got disallowed. It was actually over the line. I think it was some ridiculous goal.
And that's probably where the Beckham comparison come from. Although obviously Beckham's hit the back of the net against Wimbledon, but he had that kind of same kind of swag and charisma about him. But David Bentley goes into the side. And on the opposite flank then, I've gone for Man City, their first ever marquee signing since they come into the big money. I've gone for Robinho. 14 goals in the 08-09 season. Looked to be every bit of the player that they signed him for from Real Madrid. I think he thought he was signing for Man United. He didn't realise there was a second Manchester club, or so the rumours go. And turned out when they give him a blue kit, he kind of was wondering what was going on. He had a brilliant season, and then again, kind of never to be seen again. He was shipped out after that, but fantastic season, and quite memorable for Manchester City fans. First time they got to show off a shiny new signing. And up top then, I'm going to go for Andy Johnson, the infamous burger celebration. 21 goals for Crystal Palace in the 04-05 season. Just came into the Premier League, absolutely set it on fire, and then kind of disappeared a bit then. Didn't really see much from him after that. I think he played for Birmingham a couple of times when he was in the Premier League.
Everton, he went to Everton after. He played 2 seasons for Everton. I thought about putting him in my squad. So I know 21 of those goals, 11 were penalties. I know some of them can be pressure situations, and he just missed out on my squad. But it's a good shot.
Yeah,
great research from Matt the Stat. 11
Matt the Stat. That's why we call him Matt the Stat. That Premier League kind of season was really kind of stand out for him. But obviously, like you say, went to Everton, didn't really replicate the same. I think actually, I'm just looking on Wikipedia now. He was with Birmingham before he went to Crystal Palace. So obviously they got relegated. Did they get relegated that season? It looks like they got relegated, even though he managed to score 21 goals somehow. So a bit unfortunate there, because it says the next season he was playing in the Championship for them. And then obviously got his move to moved to Everton the following season. Yeah, so that's my side. Is there any world class players in there? It's not really kind of the theme of the picks today. Potentially Laurent Blanc in his earlier career could potentially get the world class stamp. But outside of that, I think I might have missed a player actually here. Matt Holland for Ipswich. Did I mention Matt Holland?
No.
So Matt Holland.
Do you still want to mention?
Yeah. So sure. The 2000-2001 campaign where Ipswich, I think they finished 5th in the Premier League, and they had a cracking season. Matt Holland was playing some really good stuff at the time, but yeah, that was kind of the end of him. I think he moved on to Charlton and just become your average Premier League player. But yeah, so he was the other one that made up my midfield. I thought he was worth a shout.
I think he went into Scott Parker's shadow a little bit. Matt Holland at Charlton, is that right? I think they had a centre-mid partnership. That's quite good, actually, partnership.
Yeah, that Ipswich side done great. They looked like they were going to be nailed on for 3rd place until the last literally 3 or 4 games. And I think they slipped up against Charlton. They lost 2-1 and they got pipped. They got pipped outside of that Champions League place, which were only 3 spots back then. So another notable couple of players in that squad. Titus Bramble. He was actually a decent. That was when he made his name as a good centre back.
He had a good season, didn't he?
And there's another player who I've actually got in my squad, so I'll mention his name at the moment. And there was another Icelandic left back. I can't quite remember his name, but he played all 38 games.
Herman Hreidarsson, is it?
Let's have a look.
Yeah, I think so.
Paul left back.
I'll research that.
George Burley, they're definitely worth a mention because that's one of the overachievements of Premier League history for that small squad from Ipswich. I think they actually played
Herman Hreidarsson.
I think they got Inter Milan. They played Inter Milan in a qualifier for Europe. It must have been the UEFA Cup or whatever version it was then.
Was that a season where Marcus Stewart was banging in a few goals for Ipswich?
Yeah,
right?
Yeah, that's the one.
Yeah. I reckon he might be your pick. That's a bit of a guess.
You'll have to stay tuned to find out. Yeah.
I got Kevin Pressman right, so I'm on a roll here. Make it 2 out of 2.
I know. We have to start calling you Mystic Steve from now on. Matt Holland. That's it. I don't know. I just remember him scoring some screamers that year. He scored 5 goals.
Well,
5 goals, 3 in the Premier League, 2 in the FA Cup. He made 47 appearances, obviously 38 in the league, and then the rest were cup games. But he kind of stands out as kind of being their talismanic captain. I thought he had a great season. Okay, so that's my pick. Steve, did you want to go next, or did you want to throw some shade on some of my picks there? Any that you kind of thought that was a bit sus?
Yeah, throw some 50 Shades, I reckon. So the Robinho pick, great player. Yeah, he had a great season, didn't he? I think I think even Mark Hughes was surprised he managed to land a player like that. I think that launched his managerial career a little bit as well. That signing. He's a great player. Good side that. I like that side.
Okay.
Yeah, for me, the Robinho season. You said he was the marquee signing for, say, the new money at Man City.
Yeah.
He did score in clusters. I don't think he was as prolific as I thought he was going to be. I thought he was going to come in and let you do a Haaland, 35 goals. He was at probably the height of his fame as a footballer, coming from Real Madrid over. So I thought, even during that season, I thought he was a bit playing a bit under par, to be honest. Even though he did bag 14 goals, but I thought he was going to be up in the 30s straight away, or high 20s. So Robinho, he did become a bit of a disappointment for the Man City side overall.
Yeah,
but I'd say that was a half decent season for a player of his caliber.
Yeah,
personally.
Yeah, definitely. He had one of his joint best goal returns in European football. So He scored 15 goals for Real Madrid, 2007-8 season, 15 goals for Manchester City, 2008-9 season, and 15 goals in the 2010-11 season for AC Milan. Obviously he scored bags of goals for Santos, and he was loaned back to him for the period after, for whatever reason, falling out of favour at Manchester City, and then eventually out the door. So I think he is kind of one of those crazy signings that come through that really made you stand up and take notice of Manchester City's ascension into the top ranks. Okay, so Steve, did you want to go next with your pick?
Yes. So I'm going for the boring 4-4-2 again. So I'm a bit of an old school.
You don't say.
Old school. Well, look at the hair, it's great. So goalkeeper is similar to the Szczesny pick actually, in a way, and that's Thomas Kuszczak at West Brom in that season. So I believe he came in as backup to Chris Kirkland. Chris Kirkland had an injury. Correct me if I'm wrong. On the research, Anton.
I'll look into that for you.
He came in there for Kirkland, had an absolute unbelievable season, and on the back of that, he got a move to Man United, Manchester United. But unfortunately, as this episode is all about one season wonders, it did seem to be just that, a one season wonder. He never really backed that up at Man United, and has since moved on to I don't know where, and probably not even sure if he's still playing. Thomas Kuszczak.
His last club was Birmingham City in 2019.
Yeah, so that was the 05-06 season he had at West Brom. I believe they went down as well that season, so he didn't quite manage to keep them up either. So he's my keeper. Then I'll move into my defence, and a similar line of thought to you, Anton, in that unbelievable 15-16 season with Leicester City winning the Premier League, and I'm going to stick in both centre backs basically, Robert Huth and Wes Morgan. I know you debated that in your team, but I've gone for it. They had 15 clean sheets that season, and as you said already, I mean, Huth was into his 30s, Morgan probably about that as well. On paper, you would think, surely not, but they pulled it off, 15 clean sheets. So they make it. Then over to the... I'm going to play this guy at left back. I have no idea why, but I just had to put him in. He's got to play left back. And that's the various faces that he pulls.
The many faces of Phil Jones. Yeah,
that's Phil Jones. So in the 2010-11 season, he was at Blackburn. I think he had an incredible season at Blackburn, predominantly playing in defensive midfield for most of that season. He had 26 appearances, and off the back of that, he was signed by Man United. And I'm pretty sure, in fact, I'm 100% sure that Fergie said at that time that Phil Jones could become one of Manchester United's all-time greats if he carried on that trajectory, which, as we know, some 11 years or so later, that just has not happened at all. Injuries have plagued him. He's an old school defender, isn't he?
41 appearances in his first season at Manchester United, 29 in the league, and the rest in cup competitions. It's a fair shout. Scoring a goal as well.
Still at United, I believe. I'm sure he'll be.
He was released this season.
He's been released now, is he? Okay, yeah. So hopefully he'll pick up club if not already. I'm not sure of his whereabouts. I'm not close to Phil Jones, unfortunately, but no doubt he's still got some years of football left in him if he's not injured. So he's my left back, and then my right back. Going back to Leicester City as a club, but not that season, that Premier League winning season. I've gone for Ricardo Pereira. In the 2018-19 season, he was unbelievable in that season. I believe it was his breakthrough coming into the Premier League, his first season. When he was voted both in the team's player of the season, and he was their player's player of the season that year. He had he was in my FPL team that season, racking up the points. I remember, so marauding down that side and scoring some goals, making some assists, and yeah, it was generally just a really influential player for Leicester. So that makes up my back four and my
Just on
keeper.
the Phil Jones one again, he was in
Yeah.
the side that in 2011, the season you're talking about, that beat Arsenal 8-2. So yeah, he was part of the contributing side. I think they played about like 6 defenders in that game as well.
Yeah,
Chris Smalling, Phil
yeah,
Jones, Johnny Evans, Patrice Evra, Ashley Young. Yeah, quite a few defenders in there. But yeah, one of the 8-2 winning side. Thought that was worth a mention.
yeah. And another mention is I was actually sat in the Man United end watching that game at
Cheering
Old
on the boys,
Trafford.
was it?
I had to, unfortunately. Otherwise, I'd probably be in a spot of
Oh,
bother if I didn't stand up and clap. To be fair, 8-2, they absolutely ripped Arsenal to shreds that day.
I'd hate to be in
One
your
of the
shoes.
worst. Yeah, I know. Yeah, enough said about that, really. It was one of the worst Arsenal
It was,
11s I've ever seen on the pitch.
it was it was good for the dream team points. You had the Man United players in.
Yeah. I think Ashley Young scored a brace. Rooney had two, probably. Yeah, just obliterated Arsenal that day. So into midfield, I've also gone for a similar pick to you there, Anton, in the holding midfield position. Danny Drinkwater. You said all there is to say about him. Had an unbelievable season that year, playing
Hmm.
against an all-time great. Didn't score goals. I think he maybe only scored one that season, if that. But he was, those two were just dominating the middle of the park. Got that move to Chelsea, as you said, and unfortunately has been loaned out pretty much every season thereafter, and probably is coming to the end of his Chelsea contract. If not already, we'll move on. My other centre midfielder for his big scoring season, unfortunately, he didn't back it up enough, or in other seasons, is Aaron Ramsey for his 13-14 season where he scored 16 goals in all competitions, and that included the winner in the 2014 FA Cup final against Hull City. So Aaron Ramsey gets in as a one-season wonder for Arsenal. He did have his moments in other seasons, but I just felt that was just a standout season, and he didn't really get near that, unfortunately. Whether injury plagued him, his competition for places at Arsenal, of course. So
Yeah, that was his
Yeah, I
he
think
best
he
goes
had
in.
result.
10 to 12, 10 to 12 goals in the league, maybe. Good couple of assists. I think he was getting praised by all the pundits, saying, he could make this Arsenal side turn the corner and maybe go on to win the league. I think that was when he was partnering Santi Cazorla and the likes. But yeah, didn't quite pan out that way. But yeah, fantastic player.
Yeah, 16 goals that season, followed up with 10 the next season, 6 for 11 in the 17-18 season, and then 6 again. And obviously, he got us moved then to Juventus. Has kind of moved bouncing around some of the other leagues as well.
Yeah.
Stints at Rangers and Nice, and now back at his hometown club in Cardiff City. But yeah, good pick for that one. Who else makes up your midfield?
So I don't think anyone else. Well, Anton hasn't. I don't think Matt will have this player. I don't think anyway. And that's player from West Ham. Starts with a D.
Dimitri
First name,
Payet?
yeah, Dimitri Payet.
Yeah, great player.
So 2015-16 season, I mean, he literally took West Ham to another level, I think, in the Premier League with his performances, goals, assists. Free kick against Manchester United, I believe, was unreal sort of dip on the ball, beating I'm sure, David De Gea in goal. He got the Player of the Year at the London Football Awards that season, and he was shortlisted for Premier League for the 2016 PFA Player of the Year as well that season. So clearly rated by his peers for his performances in that season. I think he only stayed then for maybe 6 months after that first season, so 18-month spell
Yeah,
before he moved on to Marseille, which was a shame really because I say he was taking West Ham to new levels and was an exciting player to watch in the Premier League.
yeah.
So
Maybe
Dimitri
one
Payet
that
gets
didn't really settle in English football. If you have a look at his career, he started off pretty much the majority of his his time in France, Nantes, Saint Etienne, Lille, Marseille, had this spell with West Ham, and then went back to Marseille again. So maybe just England didn't really suit him. You sometimes have that with some players, but like you say, outstanding season, and really took West Ham to another level.
Yeah, definitely. Maybe a bit homesick. A lot of French clubs there, moved around a bit, didn't he? And then I'm into my final midfield position, I believe. Yep, and that is probably a even bigger surprise. The anticipation on Matt's face here is Morten Gamst Pedersen.
Oh wow, okay.
Blackburn.
Decent player.
Yeah. So again, this player, I remember this player from playing FPL again. Always in my team. A particular season was the 2004-05 season. Playing for Blackburn. So not a club who were by any means strong, I suppose, in terms of real superstars. Not bottom or mid-tablers. A competitive side, but in 27 matches, he scored 8 goals in that season. He just stuck out to me as had a really good season. Suffered some injuries after that. Signed a big bumper contract, I think, for 5 years, but never really replicated anything for Blackburn after that season. The odd sort of purple patch for maybe 4 or 5 games, but he's in for me. And then my 2 strikers. So one of the panel members is not going to like this pick, and that's Michu. I'm can't not pick this guy for the 2012-2013 season he had. They won the League Cup that year. They qualified for Europe. He was team and supporters player of the year, and I think he just seemed to bang the goals in. All types of goals. Didn't really look anything particularly outstanding or special really playing the game, and sometimes looked a little bit awkward, arguably. But he just seemed to have a knack of putting the ball in the net in that season. Swansea, so he gets in. And then next to him is a similar player actually to Bichu, and that's Roque Santa Cruz in his Blackburn season, 2007-2008, where he finished with 19 goals in 37 appearances. He actually finished as the 4th leading scorer in that season, behind the likes of Ronaldo, Torres, and, believe it or not, Emmanuel Adebayor. So I believe he got a move then to, I want to say, Manchester City.
Yeah.
I don't think he replicated the form at all.
So Mark Hughes took him with him when he got his kind of move to Manchester City. I think just looking at the goals from Manchester City, so he scored 23 for Blackburn, 6 on his second season, but only 4 for Manchester City in 20 appearances.
Yeah, and he came from Bayern Munich, I believe, before.
Their second side, Bayern Munich 2.
Yeah, just sat on the bench for many a season, in fact, I think it was at Bayern. So, shame. Nice player, different type of player. And was a decent finisher in that season, as I say, behind those 4 scorers ahead of him. Clearly had a top-notch year that year. So that concludes my team. So happy to take any comments from the panel.
Well, my first question would be any out of them which you'd give the world-class stamp.
Okay, that's a great question. Do you know what? No.
Ooh, we've got one. No.
I don't think so. No, not for me at all.
Ramsey, maybe on the edge?
If we're awarding any stamp, the Welsh class stamp, sure. The Cardiff class stamp, no doubt.
The newly created Welsh class stamp.
I mean, the Leicester boys in that season, you could arguably award them for that. That's an unbelievable season, which you wouldn't think would happen again for another 30 years. But no, if I'm sticking to my definition of world class, they're all
he doesn't
way off it.
He's close. He's top player, but probably a top player for a number of seasons, especially when Wales had that kind of 2016 side that got to the semi-final of the Euros. coming up with big goals there. Around that time period, say for about 3 seasons, he was arguably up there. Was he world class though? Don't know. Don't think he's just walking into any side and dislodging players left and right. So, but definitely, he kind of he outgrew his kind of main rival to the Arsenal side in Jack Wilshere. He kind of fell by the wayside, and Ramsey took prominence. And I think he did get a bit of I think because Wilshere was in the side, he probably got a bit of preferential treatment over Ramsey. I think being the kind of the English hope in that Arsenal side. Some of his early performances did warrant his selection, but I think there was times where Ramsey come in, play a few games, show what he could do, and then was kind of frozen out for a period of time. But obviously, top competition there at Arsenal.
It sounds like a personal issue with Arsene Wenger's selection here of.
No, I just think he probably would have. He had the opportunity to go to Manchester United, and I think he probably would have. He definitely would have won more trophies, but he probably would have been better suited for Man United because I think there were more gaps in the midfield that he could have slotted into. And I think he'd have got more game time. You think of this, the time he was playing Anderson, Kleberson. So sometimes he was playing John O'Shea in the midfield as well. Alex Ferguson can shine anything up. So he was getting top quality performances out of him. But I think he probably would have suited better to an Arsenal move than Man United move for an Arsenal. But obviously
there was a rumor that Fergie said he, in terms of his running style, and this might be completely wild. I'm sure I heard the rumor. They assessed his running style and he ran with his knees rather than his hips. I think Fergie had a bit of an issue with those types of runners.
Yeah.
Random.
The Perez type, maybe. Perez type of run. I know what he's trying to say. But I thought for a couple of seasons, I thought he's had a top career. But just misses out for me as well on the world class stamp.
Two players I would like to go on. Sorry, Matt.
No, that's what I'm going to say. Yeah, great player for Wales. Iconic side that he got through the semi-finals, but just misses out on the world class stamp. I mean, we'd be lucky to have a player like Aaron Ramsey alongside Bale and the squad we had for that Euros in particular. But on a world stage, doesn't dislodge the best midfielders in the world. But definitely had 2 or 3 top seasons.
Yeah, I'd agree.
Final thoughts on my team there. Pereira, I think, has got the potential, although age is. I don't think he's that old actually. If he can get over his injury and back to his form of that first season, he's got potential. If he can put 4 or 5 seasons together, getting that level again. I'm not saying he'll be world class, but he won't be far off for me. And I think if Dimitri Payet stayed at West Ham and was happy to move to another Premier League big boy, and stringing 3, 4, 5 seasons together at those levels, he could have got close as well. But
yeah, okay. Matt, do you want to give us your scene?
Yeah, so I've gone said 1 season wonders or a season of wonder with some of my picks, if you want to call it that. We say the term 1 season wonders branded around quite a lot. There's probably only maybe one player this side who's actually come in for 1 season, done the business, and then left. Because normally a contract is 2-3 seasons. They hang around the club. They can replicate the form, etc., etc. So with certain positions, I think you're not going to be able to see that over the course of a season, especially defence, goalkeeping. So I've gone for a season that really stands out, even within a very successful player's career, on some of my picks. So I'll get started. We go in goals. He's made a few of the sides already, but for this one particular season, I'm not sure it's going to be replicated with goals conceded. The side itself only conceded 15 goals in an entire Premier League season. Sure, it might be called park the bus football, but it seemed to have worked back then. This man played 35 games and only conceded 13 goals in a stellar career. That's probably his best season as a goalkeeper. 13 goals conceded in 35 games. Peter Cech in the 04-05 season. Arguably, between him and Van der Sar and Schmeichel, flip a coin who's going to be the best really and Ederson in the Premier League era. So Peter Cech gets in for that record-breaking season as a goalkeeper. So Cech gets in for that outstanding performance. And I've gone for 3 at the back. It feels a bit. Some of these players we've stuck in, and this player is in. I think both of your squads. To call him a one-season wonder doesn't fit the bill necessarily, but this is an outstanding achievement for the player. He played 750 games competitively at top level, or English football, English tiered football, and only one season counted, and that was when he won the Premier League. Wes Morgan for Leicester City. That's an incredible amount of games to be called a one-season wonder. But obviously he isn't. But this is the one, like I said, 5,000 to 1 to win the Premier League. Played every minute of the Premier League season when they were crowned champions. Obviously, we've gone over this. Fully deserved for that performance. And yeah, get straight into the season of achievement side for me.
Yeah.
Another selection, which had also gone down in defence, who actually played over 2 seasons. It was probably almost smack on a 38-game season, but came in, was a season and a half wonder, was Laurent Blanc for Manchester United in the 02-03 season. I think he was ridiculed in the first 5 games, because I think they lost the first 5 games of the Premier League when he stepped in after Stam, ridiculed in the press. And I think the sides they lost against were Blackburn, Leeds, Arsenal, Newcastle, and Chelsea, which actually spells Blanc in the surname. So it was
nice bit of trivia there, yeah.
Yeah. So it's getting ridiculed for it. Yeah, first 5 games. So but then he had the last laugh because he obviously won the Premier League 2002-03. So Laurent Blanc in the side as a one-season wonder. Was he world class? Didn't see him too much in his earlier playing days, but I'm guessing again maybe if some of the
I'll read out some of his honours if you like. So he won the league with Auxerre. He won the Copa del Rey and Cup Winners' Cup with Barcelona, Premier League, Manchester United, World Cup and European Cup with France. And obviously he's gone on to be a successful manager as well. But won quite a lot of trophies. I think you know me, I'm a bit biased to people that win the World Cup. So France 98 and Euro 2000. I think that's Laurent Blanc's performances. Keeping out some of those stellar sides of 98, Ronaldo.
Yeah, in those squads, unfortunately, he's not going to stand out in those star-studded squads, even as the centre back. So probably give it to him. But like I said, didn't see enough.
Say the phrase.
So I'll come back to him.
A tease there for the end. Stick around if you want to see Matt's verdict.
Yeah, and my third centre back, I'm for a 3-4-3, very attacking tonight. I'm going for this is a personal achievement for a person that's got into our almost world class stamps, or would have been world class stamp. This is the season he actually made a full season of games before the injuries really kicked in. It was the 04-05 season, and this is a personal achievement for the man. Definitely world class player. Ledley King, stick him in for this 04-05 season. Obviously, just should have played more, but that was his appearance wise. That was the best season he had in appearances. Even though I think Tottenham didn't do well that season, possibly, but if you stuck him in, like say the side of the last 3 to 4 years, they are definitely winning the trophy with King at the back. So it's just a matter of timing when his career was going on. So
I think I'm sure he had a really good performance in the League Cup final. I only think he played 4 games that season in the what's it called in the Premier League, and 3 in the League Cup. And I'm sure they was kind of patching him up and trying to get him out for that particular game. I think that's the last trophy that they've won as well.
I think it was a few seasons later maybe, but like I said, similar vein. Played 7 games in the season. And delivered them a cup basically in the final against a tough Chelsea side.
Yeah.
So they're my back 3. In the middle of the pack, then I say the middle. They might not be there for long. I've practically got 7 strikers, I think. But here we go. I've got a player here in centre of the pack, and I have picked him, Steve. It's Dimitri Payet for West Ham, 15-16 season. 9 goals, 10 assists. Some absolute worldies going in. I think he must have hit the Sky Sports camera, the aerial one, a few times. The loop on those free kicks were just unreal. Crystal Palace, Man City, Newcastle, I think he scored a good goal against. Yeah, what a fantastic technique on those shots. And outside of the boot goals, inside of the boot goals from 30, 40 yards. Fantastic. I mean, West Ham must be gutted to have lost him for after such a short space of time. So this one's probably more of a one season wonder or season and a half wonder. Yeah, put to a new level. Yeah, great player. So that's Dimitri Payet. My other centre midfielder, or sorry, right midfielder, would be Michu, or attacking midfielder, I should say, just in front of Payet. No, attacking midfielder, just in front of Payet.
Fudging this this squad, yeah.
Michu or Medel. I'd have to go Michu myself on that one.
Swansea or Cardiff?
Yeah, Michu, I think, as a definition of one season wonder, he's probably the one who fits that mold. A spectacular season, full of like drama, goals. Not the best of technique, but he get that ball in the back of the net. It was just the consistency, he was scoring in big games against, he was scoring goals against United, Chelsea, Arsenal. He scored against all the big clubs at the time. So yeah, Michu, 18 goals, 22 in all competitions.
And season, really. I think important to note as well, £2 million is transfer fee. Even if he was a one season wonder, they got their money's worth out of him, right? Don't get much for £2 million, especially in the Premier League, but come in and bag you 20 goals, that's worth a season. I think he's paid back his transfer fee in bundles there.
Yeah, and the rest, yeah.
Two Cantonars, wouldn't you? 2 million?
Well, yeah, maybe if we're going back and get the time machine out, but yeah, 2 Trevor Francises, yeah.
I've gone just to put centre midfield, Dimitri Payet. I think he left for a bigger Payet packet, actually, didn't he? To Marseille. So he went. So he's my centre mid. Attacker mid is Michu. My right mid is a player who had a fantastic season in 11-12 Premier League campaign. He should have gone to maybe a bigger club sooner. He did go to a bigger club across London, but it was Clint Dempsey for Fulham. Absolutely smashed the season to bits. 17 goals and 7 assists. All types of goals. Yeah, great season. Fantastic. Done well. I think he scored 5 or 6 for the USA that season as well. I think he had a good partnership with Leighton Donovan. I think was he a striker for
Landon, at the time?
Landon Donovan.
Yeah.
Landon Donovan. So a good thing goal in the national side. Clint Dempsey, technique, couple of bars and ins. I think I remember him scoring. Yeah, fantastic season, 11-12. He gets in. And then on my left wing, this is a player who I think said he regretted his move after this club, which made his career not as the heights it was. In the 04-05 season, won the Premier League, his best season on paper, and it was his standout season by far, really. Gone for Damien Duff for Chelsea on the left wing. He was an absolute phenomenal player on his day. He put fear into anyone in the Premier League. I think that was the Duff and Robin on the wings, Lampard in the middle. They were absolutely fantastic, and he was an integral part to that squad. Never got better for him after that. I think he went to Newcastle, Fulham. Fulham didn't quite meet up to his standards from the playing's perspective. I think he said he personally struggled at Newcastle, but for last season, season and a half at Chelsea, he would have gone close. He's gone close to the world-class stamp. I can't quite give it to him, but for one season wonder, I don't think there's a player on this. Yeah,
he did have a couple of good seasons at Blackburn as well, right? That earned him his move to Chelsea. And his first season back at Fulham, he scored 9 goals, which is just one below his personal best at Chelsea of 10. And obviously there was both, I think 9 Premier League goals is his best outing, but that was for Blackburn. But yeah, he did seem to just terrorise down the wings, and I think it was less the goal contributions and more the assists that he kind of provided in that campaign.
Yeah, he was phenomenal for them. So I've gone for, and up front, I've gone for Santa Cruz for Blackburn Rovers 07-08 season. 19 goals, 37 games. We've gone through his stats there with Steve Slepton as well. Yeah, crazy season really. 19 goals, 37 games. Yeah, Blackburn probably missed the days of Santa Cruz, to be honest with me, with those sort of stats. I think he only scored. Yeah, I think he even scored 5 goals at Bayern in one season max. So yeah, just out of the blue. What a season! 07-08. And I'll go for the left striker or strike partnership of Marcus Stewart from Ipswich Town. You've been calling him Steve. 19 goals. Took them to 5th place, or helped contribute to take Ipswich to 5th place last season under Craig Burley. Didn't get anywhere near that in his career ever again. They should have finished 3rd. I think they slipped up, like I said, against Charlton, and there was another draw they had there towards the end. So yeah, Marcus Stewart. I said Blackburn missed the days. Obviously, Ipswich as a club. It's hard to see where clubs, like Ipswich, are they going to get back to those heights again? You never know with football, but yeah, they were definitely the glory days for that club, especially from what I remember. Yeah, as a young teenager, or yeah, boy watching the football. And then my final player on the team list is a striker which has been in one of your cup squads this evening. But this is a tally he never reached before or since, and he was actually the Euro boot winner for this season. 30 goals in the Premier League. I think it was 35 in all competitions. 99-2000. Kevin Phillips. Yeah, one season. Well, not a one season wonder, but a stat that stood the test of time really. Especially with 20 goals in 21 games, as Anton touched on earlier. Yeah, fantastic player, Sunderland legend. Amazing partnership. Niall Quinn, another club. These 3 strikers, playing in like the yesterday clubs. I think Sunderland got a big enough following and big enough stadium that would have 3 to come back into the Premier League. And Blackburn not doing too bad at the moment either. But yeah, what a player. Ken Phillips played for England a few times, bagged some goals. Yeah, top quality striker. But that was his standout season. So there's my squad.
Yeah, some good selections there. Any get the World Class stamp for you, Matt?
Yeah.
Go back to that earlier one now.
Yeah, check gets the World Class stamp.
Yep.
King gets check, World Class stamp. Nelly King, World Class stamp. Laurent Blanc, World Class stamp. Won the World Cup.
Yeah, okay. I convinced you, right?
Definitely gets the World Class stamp win the World Cup. So
yeah. Okay. I just you just triggered my thought actually because of you mentioned the big man little man combo, which was all the rage around the early 2000 periods. Emile Heskey, I think he deserves a shout for one season wonder. 22 goals in the 2000 to 2001 season. Only time he ever hit double. Into the 20s. And then 14 goals after that, and then kind of after that he dribbled off into single figures. Had some good form for Leicester as well, part of their cup winning side, I believe, when they won the League Cup in the 2000s. So maybe a shout as an honourable mention. Emile Heskey kind of got ridiculed for not being able to score towards the back end of his career, which I thought, based on his early Liverpool career, was a bit harsh. But just thought I'd check his name in there. Any other honourable mentions, guys?
Yeah, well, phenomenal for Leicester. Heskey and the Martin O'Neill. He played for him. Absolute unit going forward. So yeah, his goals did dry up. 7-0 basically for Liverpool, didn't he? But yeah, decent player, but doesn't get into my squad unfortunately.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was bags and bags of strikers, wasn't there? Who've done well for a season. One that springs to mind is Jonathan Johansson, Charlton striker. He bagged a few goals. Amir Zaki, Wigan.
Yeah.
He had a good half a season, I think.
Was it Mido?
Mido, yeah.
There some other strikers in there?
Lots of strikers.
There was a striker I was thinking of.
Kevin Davis, maybe? Did he have a good couple of seasons at Bolton?
Yeah.
Don't know.
Did he not? Maybe I'll have to look that one up. But
yeah,
he got a
cracking couple of seasons maybe for Leeds, and Probably underrated in his career. Mark Viduka was
Mark
a
Viduka.
top quality striker.
Yeah, he was.
Yeah. And
Um,
maybe Henrik Larsson as well, come in for Man United. Had a good season. Obviously, always prolific in Scotland, but don't think I think he had maybe one season at Man United, and then he kind of went to Barcelona and had another cracking season over there as well. So yeah.
We've actually forgot about the big man. We might be in trouble for this if he ever looks at the video. Probably not. The glass hand, Ibrahim.
Zlatan.
yeah, I was going to
Yeah,
say.
yeah.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah, that's another one.
And Ronaldo. And Ronaldo in his second spell at United. Great season before he got kicked out.
Yeah,
No,
maybe a bit
Yeah,
harsh.
never.
One season wonder. I don't know about that one, but yeah. I don't think
Moving
you could put
into,
Ronaldo in a one season wonder team. Like, I mean, maybe on a technicality, but yeah.
What about
it's a good show.
Emerson? Emerson at midfield. Do you remember him? The Juninho and Ravanelli days. Ravanelli as well,
Yeah,
actually.
and
That was a cracking season.
and maybe Emmanuel Abu as well, right? You guys had him as your potential world class. Could have been in a one seater wonder team. I think because that's probably he just had about
David
100.
Vita?
What's that? Sorry.
Actually, I don't think I had Abue as potential world class. I must have
No,
missed that
I didn't
episode.
either.
I'm sure you had him down as you gave him the world class stamp, I believe.
That was your other channel.
No, Diaby. That was Diaby.
Am I getting mixed up with a different Arsenal
Yeah,
player?
Diaby.
Diaby.
Yeah.
This is the
He was on the
unworld
young side,
class
he got
stamp
injured.
channel. You've also got obviously.
Abu Diaby, yeah. Not
Yeah,
Emmanuel Abu.
Diaby.
Sorry, again, I'm getting mixed up. Yeah. Yeah. Emmanuel Abu will and obviously Abu Diaby, he could potentially be in this side as well, right? We talked about him on a previous episode as well.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, there's it's littered with strikers, isn't it? I think they get plaudits a lot for these types of discussions. But many defenders. David Wheater springs to mind as a defender. I think he was touted as a future England centre back. That went by the wayside. Maybe I made that one up. Jonathan Woodgate, arguably. Maybe.
Shirdan Shaqiri, he had that season at Stoke.
Yeah. Arnautovic.
Yeah, they're all coming out the bag now, right? But there we are.
Januzaj for Man United.
Adan Januzaj.
Yeah.
Bojan Krkic for Stoke, maybe.
Bojan.
Yeah,
he had a decent season, didn't he?
Saido Berahino.
Maybe even Peter Crouch. He had a few bicycle kicks, I think, on the halfway line or something. Yeah, but yeah.
I think the ones we put in have outdone them with goals, maybe goals, assists, and obviously trophies. So there's many good players.
Some good picks there, and I think an interesting list for the viewers to have a look at. But if you've got any other ones that we haven't mentioned, drop them in the comment section below. If you enjoyed the video, consider leaving a like, and if you want to be notified for new videos, consider subscribing to the channel, and you'll get notifications when we drop new videos. But that's it for this time, guys. Have a world-class weekend, and we'll catch you next time. Bye, everyone.